Hello, Sky Friends, and welcome to Seasons of Skyrend, Book 4. We're a custom 5e D&D adventure that focuses on the stories of our characters as they seek to change the world, and how the world responds in turn. I am your host and DM, Scott, and you can find me on Twitter at @TheScottBlake.
Hi, I'm Chris, and you can find me at Ewok Killer on Twitter. I play Finnegan Finn Tempest, a Tiefling Trainer, which is a Skyrend original class supported by the Metalweave Games supplement Baby Bestiary. Finn is the trainer of Cerilius, a blue guard drake.
Hi, my name is Nate. You can find me on Twitter at Skyrend_Nate. I play Darvin Grimm, the human monk, and I am currently hosting Cade, the demigod of the land in my brain.
Hi, I'm Shannon. You can find me on Twitter at Skyrend_Shannon. I play Aranus Grey, the god of rebellion, and I am a half-elf bard.
You can also find the show on Twitter at Skyrend Podcast, and you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/Skyrend Podcast. Head on over to find out about bonus chapters, early access, NPC creation, and more. Now then, thank you for joining us, and please enjoy this chapter in Seasons of Skyrend. As you reach out to Agnitai, there is silence for a while, but eventually you begin to hear a response. One of the nice things about this world is that the gods are present, and it's not a question of, is there anybody there to respond? It's, can they make the time? Are they listening? And you get the sense that Agnitai is short on both time and the ability to listen privately. There's the sound of hammers and chains almost in your head in the background. Kind of like a forge. Or not like a forge, like a factory almost. And eventually, she responds, Mr. Tempest, thought the next time I heard from you would be in person. I'm afraid I don't have as much time as I would normally. If there's something we need to discuss, I encourage you to make it quick.
We are on our way to try to free you, and we're hoping for any advice or assistance you can give us on how to do it, an indirect means, so that we might arrive and have the ability to avoid confrontation with you directly.
An indirect way. Well, as I've explained before, I am bound by my own contract to help Levesque. I'm very good at making contracts. This is one that got away from me. I'm afraid some of my usual safeguards aren't in place. I can tell you what typically will break a contract, though. Fulfillment, of course. If a contract becomes impossible, or if either party in the contract dies, I am under no obligation to fulfill my oaths to a dead man, especially not after Quorum's decree, preventing the dead from coming back. And of course, if I am dead, I don't have to do anything. But I'd rather it not come to that.
Is there any way you could assist us in understanding where we might find your contract so that we can, or tell us how we might be able to break the contract for you?
Alrighty. Finnegan, how would you like to try to get some more information out of her? Skill check-wise. What type of skill?
Arcana. You're asking me, I'm going to give you my best skill.
Arcana.
It's not a social skill. I'm being a smartass.
Okay.
I don't know. I have no social skills. And literally, I'm like the most antisocial skill dude on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got zeros to all of them, so just pick one.
I had always, in my head, thought of these contracts as more ephemeral. Like, a god speaks something into existence, and the other party agrees to it, and there's just a binding magical contract. The idea of there being a physical representation of that contract, though, intrigues me. So if you want to push for Arcana, that would be basically like a way to overwrite. Like, you're going to go in there and, red marker, change the terms, which is no small feat. I think that could be an Arcana check. Like, if you want to impress upon her that you've got the magical skill to find the physical representation of this contract and alter it, that could be an arcana thing. Could be a persuasion thing if you wanted to, like, you know, be all boisterous and bluff about it or talk yourself up. But if you just want to be like, here's my magical bona fides, so to speak, you can try that angle.
I got it. My roll total is 22.
All right. Which one was this?
The arcana, the magic.
Okay. Well, Mr. Tempest, this isn't something that I let too many people know about. But there are corporeal contracts. I don't just leave them lying around, of course. And typically, they are immune to any alterations, if they can even be read. Some are on paper, some are in stone, some are in water. The medium changes. It really depends on who needs to sign the contract. A pen and inkwell does little use for a mermaid who spends their entire time in the ocean. There are other ways. But if you could get to that contract and alter it, it couldn't be a major change. It would have to be something small. No offense, Mr. Finnegan, but a mortal, no matter how powerful, could probably only make the smallest of changes. If you could make a change, a proper change, and have it not get rejected by the contract itself, there's a chance I could have some wiggle room here. What that change might be, it'd be up to your skill and up to your flexibility and thought, let's say. Let's see now, where is it? I'm gonna make this easier because we are heading towards end. Some of my contracts I keep hidden away. Levesque was a bit more insistent. It is here with us, not on my person nor on his, but in a place of safekeeping.
Aye, and knowing that we're coming to try to aid you, is there a way you could see it in your wisdom to tell me where I might find it?
Now I think it would be persuasion.
Yeah. All right, people. Cross fingers.
Fingers and toes, fingers and toes.
Persuasion, you say? With my 0 bonus, that's a 12. Not gonna be enough.
Okay. What I can tell you, Mr. Tempest, while I have time, is that it is locked away here on the island. The safe room, the chamber itself, is not in the castle proper here on the island. It's a bit more hidden away, near a waterfall. If you can get there, unseen, and enter, unannounced, you might be able to find some success.
Okay.
All right. So you've got a side quest there. A mini one. All right. Is there anything else, Finnegan?
Nope, that's good.
Okay. Your time with Agnitai ends as her attention is drawn away by something else far more important. And time passes. And the ship continues north. Darvin, as you've had some time here to watch everything that's been going on, Finnegan getting shot with spells, the ship traveling farther north, the days becoming hotter, Faraflock spending less and less time on the ship the warmer it gets. He's actually quite fond of this warm weather, so getting that heat on his wings feels real good. But is there anything that you'd like to be doing during this time? Anything that's come to mind?
No, there's nothing I can think of. Just watching, wisecracking.
Is it a general question then? Is there anything else people want to do before we arrive at Lyranor? This is just the continent. This is not the Glamour Island itself.
Not that I can think of. I mean, I'm training my creatures, but it's not beyond the normal day-to-day that we don't usually play out unless it's an actual day of activity.
Yeah. Unless Arnis had actually killed you or somehow incapacitated you for several days, I wasn't worried about your animals. Okay. Arnis, anything else that you would like to do before we arrive?
I mean, I don't think so.
Okay. Then let's get there to Lyranor. As you travel north, near to Lyranor, the regal splendor is forced to fly a little bit lower. As such, when the land becomes visible in the distance, it's almost as if it's a mirage. The constant beating down of the sun and the heat causes everything near the horizon to just appear somewhat ethereal, somewhat shimmering. As the land gets closer, it solidifies, becomes more constant. This continent is vast, at least as big as Sarakar, and its size is only magnified by its barren landscape. The wind whips hot air as sand blasts across this rocky terrain. As you come in low, you can see a few different things. To the northwest, there are craggy, angular mountains jutting into the sky. To the north, there are a cluster of low, round structures. And to the northeast, a sandstorm grows and shifts. But you're looking for Cade, who by all rights should have arrived well before you. As Olwan directs the ship farther north, you fly over the sand. In the distance, you see another obelisk, much like the one in Cade's workshop, but much larger. It rises up from the sand, good 150, 200 feet. There's a good 20 feet across in the middle. And sure enough, there in the sand below is Cade, in that same body, granite-like, with a liquid moving orange at the joints. He sees you, and he motions for you to land. Olwan brings the ship down into the sand, and it comes to a skidding stop as it pushes the sand aside and sinks in ever so slightly. Cade marches towards the side of the ship, places a hand on the side, and calls in. Glad you all could finally make it. Hope everything went well. Well, now that we're here, do we know where we're going? Anyone is free to respond. You can stay aboard the ship and answer him from the deck. You can come out into the sand, however you want to do it.
I'll start, walking his direction and just go, only vaguely.
Only vaguely. Okay. Do we know what we're looking for?
We're looking for the Glamour Island, and I'll describe what that is.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's the one that's riding around on the ocean branches, right?
Yes.
Cade motions towards the sky. And sure enough, you can still see ocean branches, even here in Lyranor, which is odd, because the terrain itself seems parched and dry. There is steam coming off these ocean branches, almost like clouds. They're definitely there, definitely solid, as if something is keeping them more liquid than not. Or someone. Well, if he's on one of the ocean branches, probably just gotta follow one of these up here. I don't exactly know what he's looking for. I mean, I know who he's looking for, obviously, but don't know what, and I don't know where. So we could either take one of those ocean branches and just reach out blindly, hope we find the right one. But there's towns and cities here well enough. I mean, Lyranor certainly isn't what I remember. I knew it had changed, but still a little disappointing to see. That town there to the north should be Clear Mist. We could try there. Last time I was here a few hundred years ago. Nice enough folks, but can't say that they haven't changed along with the land. What do y'all want to do?
Honestly, I don't know.
The options Kate has put forth is we just start flying north. Hopefully we can spot him. Or we start asking the locals, see what they know.
My concern with asking the locals is the more people we talk to about what we're looking for, the more opportunity is for people to know we're coming.
Yeah.
True. But we also might get some good intel.
Yeah, but I mean, Finnegan doesn't know this, but you all know that the fucking Glamour has their fingers in everything. The second you start talking about them, they're going to have their attention on you.
True.
Right? And even just being the person who's curious, like, hey, did you see a floating island come through here? Like, that's going to raise red flags.
Let's see. Let me re-find this name. As Mavic certainly could have told you before his untimely demise, Baldacchino is an author whose base is up here. He's the Water Baron, that kindly grandpa Water Baron. There are obviously other members of the Glamour too, but he's the one that you would have heard directly about. So it's up to you. There is a risk of word of your arrival getting out and word of what you're after getting out, but you could get intel. I mean, there's always supplies and rest that's not on the ship. I don't know how much you're worried about comfort at this point, though. Or hey, you just start more rebellions everywhere.
I mean, honestly, at this point, I feel like the more towns we stop in, the less likely we are to be in time, you know?
There is a part of me that feels like, there should not be water in this sky. So clearly there must be something that's keeping it there so that the floating island can float on it, right? There's a part of me that's following that train of thought going, we follow the water in the sky because that's got to be where we're going.
Yeah, true.
The ocean branches are still kind of web-like. Up here, it's a little more structured than it was pre-RNS's ascension. So it's a little more spiderweb net-like. And this far north, there are several that are coming together. So it's not one path. It would still just be like going through the woods, but you're in the sky. There are trails. You got to pick the right one. With the advantage of there's not trees. So
Right. I guess maybe that's what I'm thinking. Like what we're looking for is not small. And so the idea of like going person to person and asking if people have seen things feels counterproductive to me. Like we have eyes, we are literally in an airship.
Mm-hmm.
Surely we can spot what we're looking for.
Cool, let's do it.
Okay. Yeah, if you just want to get back in the ship and go, Cade says, yeah, we can just go if that's what you all want to do. I can follow from down here. It'd be pretty hard to lose you up there. But at this point, yeah, you all should be taking the lead if you've got eyes in the sky. Plus, don't forget, Veriflox is with you. He also flies.
Right.
He's also very scary in his dragon form. Another reason why we didn't just stop in town. But yeah, if you just want to go, let's just go.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm here for it. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's just get in the sky and look. All right. Kid says, all right, you all take off. I'll be down here keeping an eye out on things. I mean, I doubt I'll be the one to spot him, but if I get anything, I'll send up a signal. And he turns to that obelisk, motions with his hand, and the top of it just shoots off into the sky, like poof, explodes out. There's no light to it. It's just like a sandy firework explosion, just a burst of sand. But he can shoot that up if he needs to. After he does that, the whole obelisk just melts back into sand, into the ground. He doesn't have to shout. He can get your attention if he needs to.
Oh, yeah.
But if you want to get his attention from up where you are, I don't know, that's up to you. Yeah, you all take the lead. I'll be right down here.
Oh.
Okay.
Off we go. Back into the sky, then. Getting the airship back into the sky does take a little bit longer than usual. Again, hotter air, hot air balloons, more difficult. But eventually, the ship does lift up. One keeps it relatively low. You're not going to be running into any buildings or any obelisks, but still low enough that you'd be able to pick out people walking through the city. Not their facial expressions, but you'd notice individuals at the very least. And you start flying, following one of these ocean branches. This doesn't lead you directly over that city to the north, Clear Mist. It leads you just east of that, nearer to that sandstorm, but certainly not into it. It is growing and shifting, but it isn't really tearing across the terrain. As you travel north, put those papers to good use. Sorry. As you travel north, let's all see what you find. This will be a perception roll unless people have other ways of finding floating islands in the sky.
Take a quick look, but I doubt I do.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Always want to leave that option there because I don't know what you all have. But let's go. All right. Let's roll some perception.
I got a 9.
7.
Oh dear. Well, unfortunately for everybody, I'm the high roll with an 11.
An 11. Mm-hmm. I'm going to roll once for Veriflox, just in case your blue dragon friend might spot something. Let me just get over to his stats real fast. Oh my god. Sorry. He's got a crazy perception bonus. He rolled a 34 perception.
Holy shit.
He has a plus 17 to perception. Sorry, ancient blue dragons, they got good eyes. They got good noses. So, you're flying north. One is just trying to keep it steady, keep it near the ocean branch, give you something to look for. As mentioned before, there's steam and cloud coming off these ocean branches. And while it's not that obstructive, it apparently obfuscates things enough, you're just not seeing anything. You're flying, you're making progress, but you're just not spotting anything. I think some of these clouds and steam are like rolling down off of the ocean branch overhead, just pouring over the deck of the ship, or pouring next to it, and the light from the sun is reflecting off, just making everything really a pain to try to spot anything in the sky. You all came up from Sarakar after having been in the south of Sarakar, where things have been cold and dark. Even your time in Celestia was rather temperate and somewhat gray, but here it's just bright, and your eyes need, apparently, more adjusting, just not used to dealing with these conditions. Thankfully, your dragon friend, or at the very least, associate, a little bit better at spotting things. He can fly through the air with a little bit more ease. He's flying up, down, rolling through the sky, pushing through some of these clouds, dipping in and out of the ocean branch occasionally. Water feels nice on his scales. And at one point, you come through one of these little clouds coming off the ocean branch to find Veriflox right in front of you, huge maw. And just as you think you're about to crash into him, he changes into his dwarven form, lands on the deck. Well, I've seen a lot of things in my day. Now I can add floating Sky Island to that list. It's still a ways ahead, but if we get out from under this ocean branch and head a little bit more in that direction, he points more northwest, we should come up on it. When we approach this island, how loud are we gonna be? I'm big, and I can be very loud, but I don't know if you want to take things a little bit more subtly.
I mean, the goal is at least a little bit of subtlety.
He looks around. Finnegan, Darvin, you in agreement there? Subtle.
If possible, yeah.
Yeah,
As
we
possible.
need... Oh, yeah. Okay, first of all, I think it's safe to assume that I explained to everyone that the contract exists and that it would be a good idea to try to sneak onto the island and get the contract rather than just assault the island head on.
Yeah, if you want to have told people, that's fine by me.
So thus, yes, if you'll remember the plan, we need to sneak onto the island and find this blasted waterfall and see if we can't find where this contract is hidden and give ourselves an advantage in this siege.
Ah, yes, this contract. Well then, perhaps I can just help the ship get a little bit more altitude and we can drift onto the island. If you don't mind, I'll stay aboard after that. During the descent, he'll get off, obviously, once you get on the island. He's not going to approach in big dragon form. It's very noticeable. And with your permission, I'll stay on board till we land.
Aye.
Okay. Veriflox goes to the side of the ship, steps over the rail, just kind of falls off. And then you hear his wings expand to his full size. And he comes up underneath the ship. And it rocks for a moment and shakes. And he begins flying higher and higher, nudging the ship, the airship higher, above this ocean branch. And the sky clears out. The sun is insanely bright. And I don't think I can oversell just how hot it is. We're talking 110, 120, and windy.
Ugh, that's the worst.
Just hot wind in your face. Ugh. Luckily, you're high up enough that there's no sand in this wind. It's just hot and oppressive, and everybody's sweating, except for Olwan and Veriflox. Olwan's just very warm to the touch, and as a dragon, Veriflox doesn't sweat. Dissipates heat in other ways, probably. And as you orient yourself higher up here, you can, in the distance, see the floating island. Veriflox continues this ascent, higher, higher, until eventually you're looking down towards the island as you were looking down on the continent of Lyranor before. He pulls out from underneath the ship, flies up next to you. As he flies in, shrinks down, transforms back into his more dwarfish draconic form. All right. As long as we just keep straight ahead, we should be able to descend onto the island as quietly as one of these ships possibly can. Guess we'll leave it to the pilot for a smooth landing. But that's where we want to go, right? points off in the distance. There's the Glamour Island. Has Finnegan ever seen it in person?
Not that I know of.
Okay. I didn't think so either. In which case, Darvin and Aranis, there is the Glamour Island, as you've seen it before. At this distance, it's too hard to tell if there are any ships docked at it in any sense. I think given what we, as the players, know about how Levesque handled the last meeting, he doesn't really care if other people are with him at this point.
Yeah, he does.
Okay. As the regal splendor approaches the island, gets closer, Darvin and Aranis, it seems to be very much in the same condition as when you were last on it. It hasn't dried out in its time up here. It still seems to be fairly green. And you can see the towers of the Glamour stronghold there, that castle. You don't notice any other ships or vessels docked along the perimeter. Then as we approach, it's really just a matter of where to land and how to land. I think if we want to land as close to a waterfall as possible, we're going to have to spot it. And if we want to land as safely as possible, we're going to have to land this ship safely. Under normal conditions, one has no problem landing a ship, but something may come up, depending on how well your approach goes. So, do we want to try to find us this waterfall?
Yep, let's do it.
All right. Again, this would be a perception check as you're just peering over the side of the ship, unless you've got some sort of locate water ability that I don't know about.
Again, I highly doubt it, but I will look and see if there's anything I can get creative with.
I do not.
Seeing as none of you are druids and or rangers, seems unlikely. Or I guess water elementals maybe had that. All right, let's roll some more perception.
I got a 17.
Ooh,
I got a 16.
hey.
I once again got an 11. Whee!
Finian got a 16. Darvin got a 17. Arnis remains unchanged at 11. Veriflox in his dwarfish form here. On the ship still. But Finnegan and Darvin, I think you're both able to spot this. Arnis, I'll give you a little something, but let's talk about this waterfall first. As you get near to the island, you're not yet over its borders, but as you get nearer to it, there is the Glamour Strong, that castle. It is set into a hill on one side of this island. Nearest to that, kind of on the other side of that hill, your eyes catch a river or a stream and follow it up until eventually you spot this large lagoon into which a waterfall pours. It is definitely not near the edge. This is close to the center of the island, and it is partially visible from the castle. The castle doesn't sit in perfect view of it. There are definitely parts of the castle that can't see it, but there are probably parts that can. So while you could try to just fly directly there, the closer you get to it, closer you're also getting to the castle. Again, it's a trade-off of risk, of whether or not you want to try to get very close, risk being seen, or stop farther away. Approach on foot.
I think at this point we also have plenty of ways we can get down there that don't require us taking the ship.
Oh, I mean, that may very well be true. Would those ways also include Sam, Carolina, Felicity, Asturias, and Olwan? I mean, if you're leaving the ship behind, people need to... Olwan at the very least would pilot the ship, but are you bringing allies with you? Are you intending to even?
I think that's a question for the whole group. I don't want to speak for everyone. We also don't have to land the ship. We can just fly over it and rappel down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not fond of the idea of trying to land the ship on the island.
Yeah.
I think it's going to draw a lot of fucking attention. I mean, as it is flying over, it's going to draw a ton of attention.
Yeah, I can go with the rappel down strategy.
Okay. Do you want to do that near the edges of the island and make your way in on foot? Or do you want to do that right above this lagoon? It's a question of how much risk do you want to have getting closer to that. The farther away, the closer to the edge of the island that you rappel off, the safer it will be to get onto the island unspotted.
I mean, I think that's the plan. I'm just concerned about us trying to sneak anywhere because, you all know just how intensive their security is. So do you think we could sneak to the middle of the island?
Probably not, if we're being honest.
We're in a giant airship. We're pretty...
I mean on foot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, even before that, there's a good chance we're spotted.
So what you're saying is like this whole plan is moot. We might as well just land and start fighting.
Not exactly. I'm all about the contract. I know that's the smart move. I just don't know how we're gonna stay sneaky.
I mean, really, the only way to potentially stay sneaky is to like walk in from the edge of the island. Like we fly the thing over the lagoon, and you know our stealth element is sunk before we start. However, I'm not sure that it matters, only because like we walk in from the edge of the island and we're probably going to get attacked anyway because we're not supposed to be there and their security's so intense. So
the question I'm putting before you is, do you want to stealth on foot or do you want to try to stealth in a ship?
I think actually, now that I'm saying it all out loud, I think we're actually better off staying in the ship. I'm totally changing my mind. Staying in the ship and just going straight from the ship to the lagoon.
Mm-hmm.
Only because like we may risk being seen, but if we are, then we're already where we want to be.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Rather than hiking in, getting spotted, being in the middle of the fight and accidentally triggering a larger fight before we've even gotten to the first goal.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Cool. Can I ask one question? What are the odds this is the right waterfall?
It is. I'm going to give you,
thank you
that just off. Don't worry, you're in the right spot.
Okay.
That's helpful.
I'm not trying to trick you here.
Then we make a trench run at it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You could always do a halo jump.
Well, I don't think that's necessary.
No.
Not unless we're all going to ride Veriflox in.
He would be spotted way easier than the ship.
Oh, I know.
How deep is that lagoon? You want to test out? By jumping from a mile up?
No. That does not sound fun.
Jumping from a mile up, you would die anyway. Forget how deep the water is. You're hitting that thing. It's basically like landing on pavement at that point. It doesn't matter. We're not halo jumping.
Anyways. Okay. So, back into it. I'm just going to be Cade here for a moment so you can get the answer all clear. Well, there it is. Oh, sorry, Arnis, there was actually something that I wanted to tell you before Cade responds. I know you only got an 11. I'm going to give you a little bit something. On the opposite side of this waterfall. So if you're looking at it, if you're looking towards the center of the island, more to the left of the center, there's the Glamour Castle, towers, and the hill and everything. Around that hill, a little bit more on the right-hand side of it, there's that waterfall. And if you go farther into the island and more to the right, kind of back into the right, you can see part of a forested area that is just immensely like shadowed, which you do not recall from the previous time you were here.
I point that out to the group. That would appear to be new.
It's just a shadowy area.
From this distance, it's just this very immensely shadowed forest area. And considering where you are in Lyranor with the sun always overhead.
That's weird.
That's clearly magical.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to give that one to you because you're all smart characters. And you're all level, like, what, 16?
Yes.
You know that. Okay. I was going to say, that's there. So, Veriflox. Dwarfish form. No clothes on at this point, but it's not like you can see anything. Well, I'd say that was the waterfall you all were looking for, so sneaking in from the edges, or I'm just going to jump right in from the ship. Landed in the water. I don't know if this thing floats.
We're going to get as close to that lagoon as we can in the ship and go from there.
And then the ship just flies away?
Yep.
Sounds good to me.
That might actually be a good distraction. They see a ship leaving. We, gonna have any company with us? Motion's under the deck, people who are still down there. Your other allies with you.
We're getting off. They're getting off.
Assuming Olwan is staying behind to fly the ship, unless you want somebody else to stay behind and take it away.
Oh, no. We need our wheelman, so he can stay on the ship.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Below you, on the ground, Cade is down there. Does anybody have a way to communicate this plan to Cade?
Nope.
Not anymore.
Not without yelling it at him.
Can't you send an animal messenger?
Yeah, I can do that.
We've got
I
some
can take
critters
one
on
of our,
board.
yeah, I'll take one of our birds and send it with a message to him.
Yeah, we've got what birds were they? The crimson kingfishers.
Oh, and I can do it as a ritual too. So yeah, I can do that as a ritual. So I'm not burning the level 2 spell slot.
Sounds good.
And send that down there. No problem.
Yeah. We have Indigo, the crimson kingfisher, who will take that message down.
Can I, before we're ready to get off the ship, I want to use my feat that I took, which is inspiring leader. It has to be I think it has to be 10 minutes before you do something.
Is that because it takes 10 minutes?
Or it takes 10 minutes, right? Which would be while he's doing his thing. While Finn's doing his thing, let me be more clear about what I'm talking about. Basically, I make an inspiring speech and everybody gets 10 hit points. Not everybody, up to 6 people.
Okay. Well, then, there's the 3 of you. There's Cyril. There's Sam, Carolina, Felicity. There's Rystos. There's Asturias. And there's Veriflux. I don't think you'll be able to target Cade here.
No. Okay, so let's see.
Oh, and sorry, my apologies. Finnegan, there's your Lightning Phoenix.
Yeah, I'm not going to send that right now.
I meant, is your Lightning Phoenix coming to the island for this fight?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Do they have a name yet?
Yeah, I gave them a name. I can't remember right now.
Okay, sorry.
Given that we're not going to be likely out in the open, I don't think they are coming because they're only really useful if they're flying around overhead. So no, they're not coming. Change that plan.
Okay. They'll stay with Ulwan.
In which case, then, this is not easy, but it's what I'm going to do. Finn, Darvin, Cyril, Sam, Felicity, Carolina.
Oh, not yourself, huh?
No. Although I could probably swap out Darvin for me and we'd be fine, but...
What are you changing us all into?
I'm not changing you into anything. You're all getting 21 temp hit points.
Got it.
Nice.
I'll get 21 temp HP. All right. That lasts how long?
I don't know.
Until the next long rest, maybe?
Yeah.
What's it called?
It's called Inspiring Leader.
Leader. Yeah, we'll say until another long rest. These will be good. I don't suppose you have an inspiring speech on hand, ready to go. You don't have to. Don't worry.
Go get him. I don't. I did not pre-write my inspiring speech, nor do I have the...
Rystos taps you on the shoulder. Thrilling stuff, Arnis.
Fuck off, buddy.
I didn't get any temps. I'm sorry, he wouldn't say temps. It's not like you did anything to bolster me. Just them.
I didn't do anything for myself either, so calm down.
Trying to drag me down to your level then, I see.
You planning on doing a lot of fighting then, are you?
No, but I'll be watching.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Helpful.
I could be watching safer. Okay.
Cool story, bro.
So Arnis gives an inspiring speech, which grants everybody a little bit of extra temporary health. Finnegan sends Indigo, the Crimson Kingfisher, down to Cade to deliver the plan. That way Cade knows to approach the island stealthily as well. He can't really alter his size and shape too much. But hey, this is an island, demigod of land. All he has to do is really get up here and he can kind of be fairly stealthy. And sure enough, after Indigo returns, Kingfisher flies up, sits down on Finnegan's shoulder for a moment, just resting in the heat. From below, you can see Cade shoot up off the ground, using an ability very similar to Darvin's pillars. He launches himself up and just clings onto the underside of the island near the edge, and almost spider crawls around up towards the side. Although he is very big, he seems to move very silently on natural land. He will head inland to meet you. Ulwan pilots the ship closer and closer to that lagoon. Is there anything people can do to help make this approach less obvious?
Give me a second.
There's no guarantee you're going to be seen by anyone, but I don't know if you have any abilities that might obfuscate or shroud or misdirect.
I'm looking. Give me a second.
Yeah.
Nope. I got nothing.
Nothing.
I think the only thing I have is not actually useful. I can make a creature invisible, but not an object or anything. So, no.
Arnis the Mortal can't.
Pump up that invisibility.
You can always try to be a god, you know.
Oh, that sounds so hard, though.
And you would have to roll for your divine charges now as opposed to next time. This would definitely take divine charges. I'm just saying.
True. Okay. Well, then let me put it to the group. I've got greater invisibility. Do you want me to try to make us invisible?
Yeah.
Anything to help get into this position.
All right, Arnis, roll for some divine charges.
Okay. Oh, shit.
What you got?
Well, I'm glad I took that +3 because I just rolled a fucking 1.
On a D10, that might not have been a 1. I'm just kidding.
Shut up. Yeah, but it's a guaranteed 4 instead of 3.
Mm-hmm. All right. Roll for the rebellious charges while you're at it.
Gonna be higher.
And then, Darvin, you have a static amount, right? Do you remember what that number is? What I say, 8?
Sounds right. Let me look. 8, yes.
Okay. All right, Arnis, how many rebellious charges do I get to play with?
3.
3.
4 numbers all around. Yay for us.
Okay. Let me go over to my empowered spells. All right. When you spend divine charges along with the spell, you can declare how you want to empower it, such as increasing the damage, the healing, the size, etc. Be willing to be creative. That's the key point here. So I think this is you trying to increase the size, this invisibility. Because normally it's just a creature, and you're trying to do a creature plus radius, or the ship as a creature.
Yeah.
How many charges do you want to spend? I think this is going to take at least 2, and then we'll roll Arcana.
Oh, I mean, let's spend the 2 and see if it works.
All right, roll Arcana. Since you're spending 2, +1.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
What'd you get, Arnis?
I crit failed.
Where were you centering this spell? Were you trying to center it on a person and then grow the field out? Or were you trying to center it on the ship?
I was probably trying to center it on myself. And just right, because that's what I'm used to doing, right? Like, make myself invisible and then just boost it.
Okay.
From there.
Well, the spell itself doesn't fail. It can't fail. It's magic. And there is no fail condition for invisibility. You trying to grow it, however, this is new. This is something you hadn't done before. Trying to push yourself out a little bit to the limits. Cool. Fun way to do this.
I mean, if it helps, the total's still an 11. But,
it does. It does. The total does help. What I think it looks like from the outside is just that there's a big hole in the ship. No matter which direction you're looking from. It's like no matter which angle a person looks at it, it looks like somebody took this huge chunk out of the center. Probably about the size of an Arnis-shaped sphere. Not totally invisible. There is some invisibility going on. You, Arnis, are yourself invisible until this spell ends. Was this a minute or is this longer?
It's up to a minute.
Okay. Sounds good. Let's see how things go. That is a blind spot right in the middle, but it is a blind spot. Okay. For those curious, the lookouts rolled a 5 on the die. Whoever and wherever they might be are not noticing you. So the ship approaches. We get closer and closer to the lagoon. Tell me, where and how are you disembarking? Directly into the water? On the shore?
I think on the shore is the wiser choice. We don't want to be caught in the water, not knowing how deep it is.
Agreed.
All right. Then the question is how?
Do we rappel down?
Okay. How is Cyril getting down?
In the harness in a backpack.
That's fair.
Okay.
Or maybe it could be in the harness and then tied to a rope and lowered down. All of these things are options.
It's up to you. So then, folks are tying ropes off, throwing them off the railing. Ropes hang down. It'll be a short drop, but not a damaging drop from the end of the rope onto the ground. There's no pressure here, so there's no roll here. You've already made it to where you want to get off. So everybody who wants to get off the ship can get off the ship. Is Cyril in the backpack or is she being lowered down?
I think she's being lowered down.
Okay. Asturias can help with this in her Tamani form. She's pretty strong. It's a smooth enough trip down. Cyril probably ends 5 to 10 feet above the ground where somebody's going to have to cut the rope or untie her and let her drop. Is someone trying to catch her or is she just dropping to the ground?
That height, that should be fine. She can just drop to the ground.
Yeah. Just didn't know if we were having one of those moments of large dog lands on person.
No.
Okay. Everybody is able to get down. Finnegan, Darvin, Arnis, and Cyril, along with Sam, Carolina, Felicity, Asturias, and Barrowflox, still in his dwarfish form, descend down. Rystos flits down. He's not worried about climbing. In the distance, through the trees, you hear a very slow motion. It seems slow, but Cade is upon you with an unnatural quickness. He is hunched low, half in the ground, almost swimming through it, trying to stay out of sight. After everybody's off the ship, Olwan pulls the ropes up, and he will take the ship away. That invisible hole in the center still appears there, even though Arnis has moved away. Kind of left behind like an echo. The spell dissipate over time, but for now. And if anybody on the island spots the ship, they spot a ship leaving. Here on the ground, at the shore of this lagoon, the waterfall rises up 70, 80 feet. It's a good 15 feet wide. It's not the most powerful of waterfalls, but there's a steady flow of water. And from the lagoon, the water moves out in a small river, large stream. From here, though, the terrain is not exactly what you would have expected, especially Darvin and Arnis. You've been on this island before. Plants were lush, green, and growing. They remain green. The lushness has dissipated. Asturias leans against a tree, and it splinters and shatters, as if termites had eaten it away 100 years ago. Aside from the waterfall, it is silent here on this part of the island. Where exactly this contract is, near the waterfall, you will have to find. As Agnitai mentioned, it is in a secured chamber. But here, water is clean, but the plants, something is wrong with the plants.
And with that, we'll bring this chapter to a close. But the story will always continue. Thanks again to all of our Patreon patrons for your support. If you'd like to become a patron, go to patreon.com/Skyrend podcast and pick out a level that's right for you. Thank you for listening to this chapter in Seasons of Skyrend. If you like what you heard, please leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you find us. If you want to chat, we're on Twitter at Skyrend Podcast. You can join our Discord server, or you can email us at skyrendpodcast@gmail.com. You can also find us online at skyrendpodcast.com. As always, thanks to Daryl Barnes for creating our theme music. You can find them on Twitter at DarylBarnes_. We also want to thank the talented at Gabby_Desu on Twitter for our fantastic podcast art. Thanks again for joining us. We'll see you next time on Seasons of Skyrend.